welcome to the TDD Spotlight, the series where we shed some light on Pokemon you may not have considered in Trouble Level drafts. I'm your host, Technovoid, and with me is your favorite Pokemon analyst, Hamsterwings. In the last episode's poll, you all got a little bolder, so we're talking the talk and rocking the rock about Stonjourner. Stonjourner is a B-tier mono rock-type Pokemon with a fair smattering of options both as an offensive presence and as a support. Stonjourner has base 100 HP and some very sizable physical stats at 125 attack and 135 defense. While it doesn't care about having a special attack of 20, Stonjourner does suffer from its pitiful 20 special defense and its 70 speed. Its incredibly low special defense essentially gives Stonjourner a weakness to special moves in general, which is not ideal given that its rock typing does it no favors in that department either. As a base 70 speedmon, Stonjourner ends up stuck in the awkward spot of not being quite slow enough to be effective in Trick Room, while also being an inefficient Scarfer. Luckily, its high base HP somewhat mitigates its abysmal special defense, allowing it to take some weaker hits, and its min-max physical spread prevents it from becoming a completely dead slot on the field, even in bad type matchups. Stonjourner's only ability is Power Spot, which powers up its allies' attacks by 30%, equivalent to a free life orb. Unfortunately, Power Spot does nothing to affect Stonjourner itself, but in the doubles format it is quite strong. The power increase to any attacking move interferes with the opponent's ability to calculate damage ranges and offers Stonjourner's allies more flexibility with kills. Its stats often allow it to safely switch in and boost its allies' damage mid-turn, completely shifting the momentum of a game. Even when Stonjourner is tanky and passively supporting its allies, it cannot be safely ignored in favor of targeting a sweeper, as its high attack and move access do force some attention onto it. As such, Stonjourner performs admirably on hyper-offense teams, looking to quickly gain momentum with a surprise KO and snowball from there. Even though it is quite threatened by basically any special attacker, Stonjourner has the tools it needs to threaten them back, and even when directly countered on the field, provides a great amount of game-shaping power in the form of passively boosting its allies. And now I'm going to pass it on over to Hamsterwings.
Yeah, so this Pokemon, definitely doesn't look like much on paper, but this is easily the most prep-reliant Pokemon that we've ever talked about on one of these spotlights, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
The things that it pairs well with are momentum creators like fast U-turners, fast volt switchers, fast flip turners, etc. Or slow if your paired Pokemon is slower than that. And because that allows it to come in and surprise boost a move. And because of that boost, you really need to do a lot of calcs with this Pokemon. You need to know how much damage your Pokemon do and how much damage they do with Power Spot. And is switching Stonjourner in worth it? That's the main thing about this Pokemon, but there's a lot more. Speed creeping is very important for it because, well, it depends on what you need. It also pairs extremely, extremely well with very strong spread attackers. Think like Specs Sylveon, Specs Keldeo, Mega Camerupt, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the speed thing, you were mentioning the speed creeping. Since Stonjourner is in that weird spot where it isn't particularly good at anything, you do just have to, you have to understand your opponent's team very well on how fast they can go to make it so Stonjourner isn't always the last thing to go.
You basically want it to outspeed some crazy special wall breakers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that it can go.
Yeah.
So the first that we have here is Rock Polish. Actually kind of counterintuitive to what you might want to do with Stonjourner, but again, that's why it's so prep reliant. This kind of allows you to rely on your spread attacker next to you to just do damage while Stonjourner sets up. So he's passively boosting them while setting himself up and making himself a threat so that you can't just ignore him.
Yeah, that's one of the amazing things about Power Spot is that you don't need to waste any turns or anything on Stonjourner to make your ally better. It's just a passive support. I love that.
Yeah, and the fact that this set has pressure just by existing in the back, even though it's a setup sweeper, is incredible. The Rock Polish set allows it to just take off on its own after your opponent being scared of a spread attacker next to it.
Mm-hmm.
It gets wonderful coverage moves, actually. It gets things like Stone Edge, which the reason I put Stone Edge here over Rock Slide is so that Stonjourner has a better chance of picking off things that threaten it, like special attackers mostly, with a really strong single target Rock Stab. Of course, again, prep reliant. If you can run Rock Slide if you think it's more appropriate, but Generally, I feel Stone Edge is better on this Pokemon, specifically.
I feel like of all the sets here, potentially Rock Slide may make the most sense on a Rock Polish set, just because that's your best likelihood of moving first, and the flinch chance is always nice.
Yeah, either on a Rock Polish set or a Choice set, you could consider Rock Slide over Stone Edge. It gets good coverage and Heat Crash. It gets Superpower. It gets Body Press if you're running a more defensive one.
Heavy Slam too.
Earthquake, Heavy Slam, yeah. Facade even, if it gets burned.
Yeah, a lot of decent options.
Yeah, it actually has a lot of different options. And obviously this one doesn't have Protect, but Protect is always something to consider, because keeping it alive, even if it's not attacking, is valuable.
Yeah, it's doing something even when it is protecting, and Stonjourner is the type of Pokemon that people are going to want to target a lot of the time to get rid of that power spot.
Especially with something like, just a Muddy Water, which we see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Any special spread move is going to be coming after this Pokemon.
Yeah. One other thing I would like to mention is that we don't have EVs here, and as Hamster mentioned, that is just because Stonjourner is so prep reliant. It really just depends on your opponent's team where you want to put those stats. I mean, with a Rock Polish set, you're probably going to want speed EVs, but again, how much HP, how much attack, how much defense you're going to put in is going to be really reliant on calcs.
And now we can move on to the next one called Lives a Special Attack. How does
Attack?
it do that? With a Focus Sash.
With a Focus Sash. Nice. So, yeah, I mean, the Focus Sash and the Protect here are clearly just giving it a little bit more longevity, which is nice.
This is kind of like, think of it as like your burst option. Like, this is when you have like a Mega Camera up next to you, and you just need Stonjourner to come out and get it 2 kills. And then break your Focus Sash, and then Protect and get 2 more.
What Ultra Beasts are there, or Moxie users that get spread moves? Are there any notable ones?
Probably. I mean, there's like Circuitry Discharge, which would kill this thing.
Sure.
But it would pair well with this specific set.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anything that can get those kills and then immediately boost up is really nice. Another thing here, and it's not on this set, but I think Explosion could also potentially work.
Yep, definitely could.
Anything else on this set?
Yeah, the main thing with this set is that it comes in and turns your like partner Pokemon into like a 1-turn or 2-turn burst. Because while this set can do damage still, that's the main thing you want out of a Focus Sash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about does it for this set.
Help and Leaf.
The next set allows Stonjourner, if it's faster than the opponent, to actually boost its partner Pokemon, allow the partner Pokemon that's faster than Stonjourner to get the boost, and then use Superpower to eject pack itself out for later.
It's very clever.
While also still doing a lot of damage, because, I mean, 125 attack is still quite good.
Yeah, especially with Superpower, which is a nuts move.
Yeah, quite powerful. It has other moves, of course, Protect for longevity, because maybe you don't want to Superpower out the first turn. Gives you some options. Generally, again, with coverage moves, you can kind of just run whatever's appropriate. This one is definitely going to have some speed creeping EVs. It's going to have defenses, probably. It's going to have all that.
Yeah. I think this set really, I mean, all of these sets so far, but I think it's really just important to note how important it is to understand momentum when using Stonjourner, because Stonjourner's success cases all completely rely on understanding the basics of momentum and how to get it and how to keep it.
Stonjourner's win cons are always going to be about momentum and positioning and just understanding your opponent and prepping it correctly.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Okay, all right. Is that it for Help and Leaf?
Yeah.
All right, and on to the choice set.
The choice set can have either a band or a scarf. Again, whatever you think is appropriate. It gets more than 4 moves that would help you in any given game. And it's a decent choice user because, again, paired with a spread attacker, you just have 2 nukes going off every turn.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Especially since it usually pairs so well with, like, specs users. So you're not going to be breaking items clause because there's a lot of really, really good spread special moves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the really nice thing about Power Spot, is it doesn't just boost physical moves or just boost special moves. It works on literally any move that does damage.
Yep.
Which is very, very cool. Yeah, I don't remember on the other sets, but I don't remember seeing necessarily any ground-type moves. But Stonjourner does have access to both Earthquake and Stomping Tantrum, both of which are quite good.
Yep.
Yep. So, yeah. Anything else on the Stonjourner sets in general that you'd like to mention?
Not particularly on the sets, just like reiterating for the 1000th time that this Pokemon is a lot more complex than probably anyone realizes.
Definitely a lot more complex than anything we've talked about on this series. It requires some strategy, definitely, yeah.
You really need to understand your opponent's prep and how this Pokemon like fits into your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Overall,
because it's not like it's not like it's like a frail Pokemon that just comes in and like boosts every once in a while. It's got like really good physical survivability.
Oh yeah, 100 HP, 135 defense. I mean, you spec into that and
like
you
this is like comparable to Melmetal's physical defense.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, overall, yeah, you're gonna see that special defense bulk, and you are going to bulk when you see that, but this is one B tier that you should absolutely be keeping an eye on if you're looking to play fast and hard. Of course, it is going to require that you have a good understanding of momentum, but its access to moves like Rock Slide and Earthquake, coupled with, its high attack stat, make it really threatening, and Power Spot lets it simultaneously support other offensive threats without sacrificing any of its own turns, or any of its own power, which is really good. That said, its speed, as we mentioned, leaves it in a really bad position in the turn order without setup, so you are going to need to play around your opponent on that in prep, and its poor defensive typing and might as well be a weakness to any special move means that it's going to hinge on careful play if you want to get the most out of it. Stonjourner pairs well with any Pokemon that wants to make use of a free 30% damage boost, like a Sweeper or something with a spread move, and it also pairs really well with Pokemon that are good at kickstarting and maintaining momentum. As we said, fast U-turners, fast Volt Switchers, anything like that. It's also really important that this thing be switched in and out pretty frequently, so Pokemon that are going to encourage targeting from physical attackers, especially ones that don't beat Rock, are going to make great partners for it. So do you have any final words for Stonjourner here?
Not particularly. It's
cool.
Just, again, reiterating, yeah. It's complicated.
It's complicated. This is not a Pokemon you should use if you're just looking for your first match. This is more of a, like, I'm ready for is a rite of passage.
If you're drafting like checkbox and you're like, a rock type would be good on this team.
No.
Maybe steer away from this one.
Yeah, maybe steer away from this one. Yeah. Pick Stonjourner if you have a really solid idea of what you want your team to be, because it's really powerful in that scenario, but it is not a jack of all trades.
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, well...
It excels at the two things that it does.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be Stonjourner. Hope you done learned something. Now it's time for you to vote on which Pokemon will be covered next time. Will it be the Grass and Fighting type Chestnut, or the Ground type Sandaconda? Vote in the comments down below, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Take care.